Well, I think we should dive into some of the racing that we saw. That
Yeah.
second item on my list, I was thinking it'd be cool if we kind of went through each race we went to and picked two drivers or like a couple drivers of who we thought were like the winners and losers of that week.
That's good.
Yeah. I
I'm
thought it
down.
was pretty solid. That was a shower thought. I don't know if that's appropriate, but had that.
Honestly, when you're taking a shower, it's literally like watering a plant because I swear to you, I come up with the best.
Not like watering a plant.
No, it is. And then like your brain just like grows all these ideas because I will. I'll bring
Another perfect example of a Taylor quote. Oh god.
I swear to you, like I formulated my law school personal statement in the shower and I like started taking notes. I mean, it might be TMI, but
TBI.
it's traumatic brain injury. Not a TBI, TMI. But honestly, like be prepared to come up with some good ideas when you're in the shower or brushing your teeth.
There
Like
you
have
go.
notes on standby. Okay.
Yes.
Great idea.
Okay. All right. Sweet. We'll go with the shower thought then. Okay. So, first race we went to was the World of Outlaws Sprint Cars at Volusia, DIRTcar Nationals. I think we were there for 2 nights, Thursday and then the finale. But I think, we had enough time there to really figure out what drivers did well and what drivers didn't. So would you like to start us off and let me know who you think was one of the winners of that week and who was one of the losers?
Yeah, so I would say for Volusia, I mean, that was a tough call. I was just so enthralled with the race, especially on like Saturday night, because I just felt like it was electric, right?
That race
And
was insane.
yeah, it was really insane. And I was like, okay, Buddy just came to life there, obviously. I'm just thinking about Saturday. Thursday, I'm kind of having a hard time recollecting. Um,
Thursday, Brad Sweet won the opening night, and then
oh, Tyler Courtney won one night.
Tyler Courtney won on Friday.
Yes, because that was the night we weren't there.
I think David Gravel won on
Oh,
Thursday.
yes.
Yeah. And then Sheldon Haudenschild won the finale.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so honestly, based on Saturday, like I was really pumped up for Sheldon and I was really pumped up for no, Brad Sweet won Thursday.
I said Brad Sweet won Wednesday. He won the opener.
Oh, yes, that's right. Sorry. I'm all messed up here. Okay. So yeah, I thought I was really excited for Sheldon. I felt like he rebounded well on Saturday because I feel like he didn't have like much luck throughout the rest of the week.
Yeah.
But honestly, I felt bad for Buddy because other than Saturday, like I don't remember. I feel like they were having like Roth was having a lot of motor issues.
Well, to be honest, I mean, even when we went to East Bay and Dominic Selsey was in the Roth car for James McFadden, they had issues, like motor issues as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but
No, I do. Yeah, I do
yeah.
remember that.
No, I mean it's it sucks if you're Buddy, or I mean even if you're Dominic, thinking like Buddy can go win. Like Buddy can absolutely go out and win a World of Outlaws race.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been in that position before and had a motor go out. So
Yeah,
how do you
he
have
said
confidence in your car?
yeah, no, exactly. Well, I remember at Houston he was late and it was like for the
Yep.
250 that race there, and then he was like looked pretty like defeated afterwards. So I think like I felt bad for Buddy. He shined more on Saturday, but I would say that was not that he was like one of the negative two. I'm just kind of drivers that I kind of cheer for. You know, Brad obviously won, big Cat fan, won the opener. But outside of that, I felt like I mean, honestly, the thing about Brad is he really plays the race out well. Like a lot of times I feel like at the beginning of the race, and these sprint car races, they're like 30 laps. They go by so fast.
Yeah.
But like he may not look strong for like the first half, but then he just like comes back at the end and then he's always gonna be there, right? So respect the big cat, love the big cat, was cheering for him every night. Uh
No bias here.
No, but other than that, I kind of
So
Spencer
who
Bateman was kind of he wasn't really up there.
Okay, so let's take it from like the World of Outlaws field. So, like actual World of Outlaws full-timers. Like who do you think was one of the losers? Cuz
Mm.
Spencer Basin is full-time with High Limit this year.
Oh yeah, that's true too. One of the World of Outlaws losers. I mean, honestly, Basin, I feel like didn't really. He took a provisional at least one night, right?
Are you talking
So,
about Macedo?
oh, I'm sorry.
Carson
Oh
Macedo?
yes, Macedo. Yes.
No,
Yeah,
I
he
agree. He
really
was
struggled.
he was on my list of losers that week, which is weird to say because obviously he was a championship contender last year. I have no reason to doubt that he'll be a championship contender again this year, but it was just unusual to see that team struggle the way that they did at Volusia because it's not really typical of them. And I remember going up to Carson afterwards and he was talking about how he was like, we don't even know. Like, we don't know why we're bad. They tried a bunch of stuff, nothing worked. They did have to take a provisional one night, I believe. Another night was they made it into the feature through the last chance showdown.
Mhm.
So big struggle of a week for them at Volusia for sure. And it'll be interesting to see if they can already change that, by the next time they get to Volusia, or if they continue having struggles because it's hard when you put yourself in a hole at the beginning of the season with a series like the World of Outlaws because there's so many guys that are that good. So
Right.
definitely a tough week for Carson and them.
Yeah. Well, they have so many races though. Like it's not like everybody's gonna have like
Right.
their ups and their downs. But honestly, another driver you didn't hear a lot about, I'm kind of going back through the results here, was Schuhart.
Oh yeah, Logan.
Even though, he did have like a fifth and like a seventh, I just feel like you didn't hear a lot about him. And obviously, maybe they talked about him more on the broadcast. This is also what's different, like when you're there versus like
Yeah.
watching at home on like the streaming service. Um, so yeah, but I mean, Donnie Schatz though was solid. He wasn't anything like super spectacular.
Well, I kind of had Donnie in my win column, I would say, based on the struggles that he had last year. And I think a lot of people maybe had lower expectations for him, coming into this year because that team has just struggled, whether it's, due to the Ford deal they have, like it just seems like they've been trying to figure out their engine package, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So to see Donnie come out and kind of have pretty solid, decent performances every night at Volusia, I think was really encouraging for that team. And Donnie, I mean, Donnie doesn't hide his thoughts or attitude about things. And every time I talked to him, he was pretty content, like pretty satisfied. Obviously wants to go out and win, but like I'm saying, compared to last season and the struggles they had to kind of come out and set the tone, have a good note to start the season on, I think was encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And he had like a lot of it's not like he was like way back there. Like,
He
no
did
offense.
go like back of the field to the front though. So I think he was like 16th to 7th. I don't know. It was something crazy. Like went from way back in the pack to for sure a top 10 one night. Maybe it was up to 6th. Um but he was saying how they're working on car maneuverability and being able to pass cars and knowing that they have that ability. Obviously, you don't want to be starting back in the pack, and that's a qualifying issue, but to know
Right.
that, you have that ability to pass cars, I think is what he was looking for.
Yeah. No, and that's good. And that team has so much experience, like, that they're gonna be a
Yeah.
contender regardless. I think another one that, like, really had a rough go was Zierfoss. He's
Mhm.
full-time with the Outlaws.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he had a really rough go. But all in all, I thought the World of Outlaw races, like, honestly, it was cool to see the high limit guys and the World of Outlaw guys, obviously, like, all in one place.
Yeah.
The atmosphere was, like, super electric. Like, I'm pretty sure it was sold out. Like, there wasn't even standing
Yes.
room. And honestly, it's a well-oiled machine.
I would
At least,
agree.
obviously, normally you can tell more, like, of the nicks and crannies, if you will, like, when you're racing, and obviously you have more to bitch about, but, uh, being honest, like, just being a spectator, sometimes you don't realize that as much, but I felt like it was well run from, like, our perspective.
I would agree that the energy there was very hard to match at any of the other races we went to. I mean,
Yeah.
that was my first time, attending the DIRTcar Nationals, and it just felt like such an event, walking through that initial section where it's like t-shirt trailers, food, just it
Yeah.
felt like a mini carnival almost as you're walking in. And then the pits, everyone's there. The pit grandstands were packed on Saturday night for sure. I mean, they were full other nights, but just to see the crowd and how full the grandstands were, how full the pits were, that energy was just hard to deny. It
Yeah. 100%. You hit the nail on the head. Like, it really does, like, feel like like, it's literally like a traveling circus carnival. Like, one thing also that, like, I noted that was, like, really great, I felt like at the World of Outlaws race compared to all the others that we went to, was the signage as to, like, where to go for certain things. Because different perspective, obviously you need a pit pass, you know where to go for that, right? But, like, when we're going for, like, media passes or credentials of, like, another circumstance, or, like, even if you're going to pick up your tickets, like, it was well laid out, like, you knew where to go based on where the signs were directing you. Like, they had it figured out, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could tell their experience, and the concession stand food was pretty good, you know?
yeah,
So
my teriyaki chicken on a stick was it wasn't very filling, but it was tasty.
yeah. I'm bummed somebody commented on one of our Facebook things and was like, "Did you try the ice cream?" And I would literally eyeing it. Obviously, we
I know,
settled
you
for
were so
Grand
torn. You were
McFlurry.
like, "Should we go get ice cream?" I'm telling you, McFlurry's ice cream right up Taylor's alley.
Dang, I'd love some ice cream, especially I really only eat ice cream when I'm in Florida. It's just like this.
Interesting.
Yeah, so when I'm in Florida, I'm probably at Dairy Queen.
Just is it just because it's hot in Florida and you need a little
It's
something to
just
cool down?
it fits the theme, you know?
Okay, all right. Well, I'll close off the World of Outlaws topic with someone who almost fits both bills of winners and losers. I think more towards the winner category. Landon Crawley making
Oh,
his World of Outlaws debut.
yeah.
Prior to, the DIRTcar Nationals, he told me he'd only ever attended like 3 World of Outlaws races, like as a fan. Didn't really, I guess, even know how it worked, kind of.
Right.
His 410 sprint car experience, very limited. I think he made his first start like last fall. So basically bringing in no prior experience to Volusia, went out, went quick time, night 1, made the dash 1 time, 2 times.
I
I'm
think one.
blanking on the exact statistic, but he was in the dash at least 1 night. Yes, his performances in the features, he went back pretty much every time. But I feel like that spark that you saw, that potential was exciting. And he's super fun to talk to, super nice personality. I really feel like he's someone that fans will gradually grow to love because not many people I would say knew about him coming into Volusia, but I think leaving Volusia, a lot of people were aware of who Landon Crawley was. What was your opinion?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he's what, only 17 or 18. He's like really young, right?
Pretty young. I think he's 16.
Oh yeah, geez. So I think obviously somebody that's that young, like normally you haven't been around them or raced around them enough because they're like still just getting their go, right? But I think really what it'll come down to, especially with racing with the Outlaws, is experience. You know, these guys have been to a lot of these tracks before, like not once, but not twice, but like multiple times.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they've experienced it in like many probably different variations, like whether it's rained or whether it's been dry and like things of that nature. And so, like, really with the Outlaws, like, you, when you're going there, like, you better come like loaded with all your ammo. And like that even includes like your experience because that's just where they're going to beat you, right? Like, where
Yeah.
to go when and like your instincts. And like he's still building that. So, I mean,
No, for sure.
that only comes with time. So I know, and actually when you brought him up, it made me reflect on the one night on Saturday night when we were there and we were watching it from turns 1 and 2, and there was kind of like that whole spat with two people about there's your rookie of the year, and then the
Oh
other
yeah.
when Crawley, I think, like lost like his right rear tire or something. And so it was just like a funny thing. But anyways, yeah, he was like
Smooth transition.
No, I think time will tell, you know. I
Yeah.
think
No,
um
I think he will absolutely have his fair share of rookie struggles ahead. I mean, that was evident, week 1 at Volusia, which is why I said he's kind of in the losers column as well. But I mean, he made the feature. I don't think he had to take provisional any night. Like, he was relevant. People were talking about him. I think as a rookie to not only just the World of Outlaws, but the 410 sprint car scene, I think that's a win for him. That's confidence that he has of I can go quick time. I can, go in a dash. Like I think he'll have a little more confidence after this week.
yeah, no, for sure. I agree.
Okay.
I
Good.
agree.
Good. I'm glad you agree with my
Yeah.
takes.
Well, we almost actually made it. I was looking at we almost made after driving back from Ocala on like basically our second night of doing all the races. We passed Volusia and the race wasn't finished yet. They
We
were
should
under
have gone because it was
we
red
almost
flag because of that big wreck.
I know, but we were like both under the thing. It's like, by the time we parked the car, place was packed. Like really
Yeah.
no one, we probably would have just missed it. But
Probably.
anyways,
Okay, so now second race that we attended was, like you just alluded to, USAC sprints at Bubba Raceway Park in Ocala. About an hour and a half drive from where we were staying.
yeah.
Um, that was my first USAC sprint car race for those who have not seen our on the drive videos. Not Taylor's first USAC sprint car race. If you um suggest that to her, she will get offended because she was once a big USAC sprint person. So, Taylor, who are your winners and losers from the USAC sprint car event that we attended?
Okay, winners. And then I'm also thinking like even the nights we weren't there.
Yeah,
Like,
no, like overall the event as a
yeah,
whole, Winter Dirt
Logan,
Games.
yeah, Logan CV clearly winner. Grant was like super impressive, obviously winner. And the night that we were there, especially like Robert Ballou, like reminded me like why he's the madman because totally like high side hustling there made it really exciting. And yeah, like kept us on the edge of our seats. So I think those were really the winners. I think the losers.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
To ask you. So I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I thought it was kind of interesting. So Justin Grant, obviously, the night that we saw him, I think he went 6th to 1st in the heat race, and
Yeah.
then kind of obviously made a bunch of moves in the feature as well. I feel like every time I watch him, and granted, most of the races I've gone to, he's done well at, so that's part of it. But most of the races where I like watch him drive, I feel like he is so fun to watch drive. Like, I don't know if it's his driving style or what it is, but I'll sit there and just think, wow, like that's cool. Or like I have this like awe almost watching him race. Do you feel that way about any driver?
Um,
Like sitting in the grandstands watching it thinking, dang, like I don't know, something about it just
yeah, no, I get what you're saying, because normally I'm not like when I'm watching a race, there's only a few people on that make me, and when I say there's a few people that make me nervous, it's like in a good way because they take risky moves.
yeah,
So I know what you're talking about, and so I could definitely see where you're coming from with Grant, because honestly, he takes moves that you wouldn't think somebody would take, and then he'll pull it off, and then you're like, I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it
sometimes it
doesn't though.
doesn't. Yeah.
So I would say for me, honestly, one of my teammates does this to me all the time. He's like, makes me so nervous to watch. But he's checkers or wreckers. So like Caleb is 100% that person for me. Like when I spot for him at little 500, like I don't even know sometimes how I do it because but
Oh.
I normally, because I'm a racer myself, like I don't really um, I don't know. Nothing really surprises me to a certain extent, you know.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying. I get
Yeah.
what you're
And it's not like every racer. Like it's not just, oh, someone's fast, so they're automatically fun to watch. I mean, it is fun to watch, but there's just, I don't know, there's something specific about Justin Grant's driving style that just I'm always excited on the edge of my seat,
Yeah.
waiting to see what happens. But I
Yeah.
had to ask because I thought it was an interesting conversation the other day. So
No. Yeah, no. I mean, it's definitely a good question. I'm sure everybody has that person, you know, like that's what makes them fans at the same point in time.
that's true. That's a good point.
So, yeah, I actually need to think about that because I know that there is other drivers out there that I'm like, oh wow, did he really do
Yeah.
that?
Okay, so who's your loser or who are your losers for USAC?
Okay, so just based off the night that we were there, obviously Brady Bacon,
That was
tough
rough.
luck, tough luck for him. I'm trying to think who else the night we were there. I was just kind of like CG. I feel like made a rebound there towards the middle end of the race.
Mhm.
Zach Dom though, this was after we left. I don't know if you saw one of the nights. That
Yes,
was
I saw the wreck.
crazy. That
Yeah,
was
so he
so
basically
glad he was okay.
clipped the right rear of Mitchell Moles going into turn 4 and then violently flipped basically almost into the parking lot.
Right. Yeah.
Having been there and knowing where the track is and where the parking lot is, I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
No, that
That
was crazy.
that was insane. Also, you brought up another name like Mitchell Moles. I don't think he did well the night we were there. At least.
I was trying to remember how Dason Pursley did. I think it was kinda just
Oh
okay
yeah.
because we recorded that podcast episode with him.
Mhm.
So I wanted to see where he ended up. But I will also shamelessly plug, I just wrote a story on Zach Dom for Speed Sport about his little venture to do more non-wing sprint car
Oh,
racing.
yes, I saw that.
Yeah. And I texted him after his wreck because the story hadn't come out yet. And so I was like, "Hey, are you still planning to pursue this or did the
Yeah.
wreck change everything?" And he was like, "No, I'm still gonna, do it when the midget schedule allows." So I was like, "Okay, like I just wanted to verify because that
Yeah, you
was
never know.
yeah, that was pretty atrocious." So
Yeah.
and if it's something where it's like, oh, it's just kind of a hobby almost of like, oh, I just want to go USAC sprint racing every now and again, a wreck like that could probably be like, is this worth it? So anyway, but he will be at select USAC sprint car races. So you can expect to see the 5D out there. But
Yeah. Leave it to Grace. This is breaking news here.
yep, yep, got a nose
Um,
for news.
so I do have two notes about Ocala, other than our
Okay,
winners and our
please
losers.
share.
Okay, my first thought on Ocala, I have in some lame until feature. And let me explain, because the racetrack itself was just really not racy. It was really fast. Okay. So basically everybody, with the exception of Grant and his heat race, I felt like they
Mhm.
were just all falling in line, duck, 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 right?
I agree.
And then the feature, like midway race on, like really like changed it for me. Where it just got exciting. Like the track obviously widened out, became super racy, and like made it exciting for the fans. So, and I know it's obviously tough sometimes with heat races, and there was like maybe 26 cars or 28 cars or whatnot. So when you don't have like 40, 50, 60 cars like the Outlaws, like it's kind of hard to like gauge also how the track is going to change, so the track
Yeah.
just, if it would have widened out and for the heat races, it probably would have been like so slick for the features. So you got to give and take, especially with the dirt races. My second point was the chicken tender basket was very disappointing. I don't
Oh,
eat food like this. Okay, I don't eat food like this a lot. Like I'm normally like super healthy, like maintain a really like strict diet. So
right.
this,
Only McFlurries.
yeah, other than when I'm in Florida or like when I'm on the road, right? Which is obviously often, but I try to splurge when I do that. And, looking forward to some breaded chicken tenders. And it was just, I was let down.
The cheeseburger was pretty mediocre as well, I would say. Nothing all that special. But then again, I don't know exactly what track we went to that I would say had fantastic food. You know what I mean?
I should have just honestly, I will never say anything bad about a racetrack cheeseburger. So I should have just like did that, but I was trying to like split it up because I knew at the other races I'd probably just end up getting a cheeseburger because that's
Yeah.
just how I am.
There you go. I have one other comment about Ocala. I felt like I was going to fall through those
Oh my
grandstands
gosh.
in turn one. Under Taylor's favorite tree, everybody must know by now about the
Third
tree.
no was the tree. There's a debate going on. Was it a Spanish moss or a whispering willow?
Is
I
that what they're
looked them
called?
both of them up and they looked the same. And I tried to do a Google image search and it was coming up
Hmm.
with both of the names. So,
You're really invested in this.
well, I wanted to be precise. And when I was like posting about the tree and when I'm talking,
Right, yeah. No, it's a big character. Big character.
you know,
Whoops.
just trying to spread the word.
Yep. No, for sure.
Okay, so I know this was like probably a hot topic for us. New Smyrna.
Oh. Oh. That is a hot topic. That is definitely a hot topic. However, after our experience there, which as our listeners might guess by now was not the greatest, after I saw Matt Weaver post his whole tweet about how the track told drivers that there was no room for their merch trailers and then walked through that whole grass portion illustrating here's where merch trailers could go. And then basically he did a parallel when he went to the high limit race at East Bay, walking through all the merch trailers there and how there was room for, everybody. Anyway, after seeing that, I felt a little bit better about my personal thoughts about the track, thinking, okay, now it's kind of validated that maybe this track is not the most elite facility.
Well, it's not okay. So full disclaimer, like obviously we know like a lot of short tracks and tracks in general are like struggling, right? So not trying to like bring a track down or whatever, but sometimes like a lot of businesses, especially this, like it's customer service oriented, okay? Like you want to keep people coming back. So you get that concession stand money, you get your entry ticket fees, so on and so forth. From the moment we stepped in the gate, people were rude. Rude, rude, rude. I have rude 3 exclamation points, okay? There's no justifying somebody being rude, okay? Especially when we were being nice as can be. So if you want to see me be rude, I will 100% go there with you, okay? But at first I didn't have a reason to be rude to this. We didn't have a reason to be rude to this woman. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Then when we were in the restrooms, you want to tell them about this?
Yes. Oh, this is another good story. This is another good story. I have photo proof on my phone. So we took a little bathroom break after dealing with several of the rude people. And on the back of the toilet stalls is a, printed out piece of computer paper with instructions on it. And on the bottom, it says, please don't forget to tip the staff. Tip what staff? For what? What am I tipping staff for? For using the restroom? Like,
Yeah. So literally to start off with that, maybe it was the time that we were there, like practice was still going on qualifying. It was like practice qualifying time, right? So there was no bathroom attendant in there. And even if there was a bathroom attendant in there, like I don't know if they were thinking that they're like Mastro Steakhouse level, but like there was, and I keep using that analogy because if you've been to Mastro Steakhouse, you know what I'm talking about, where they
I
give you
just don't
refreshments in
I
the
don't
bathroom.
see how a racetrack would have a bathroom attendant. That makes zero sense to me. Zero sense. There is no way they have one.
Even that, I'm just trying to like me being the attorney, I'm just trying to argue this like unless you're Mastro Steakhouse and you're like you have a bathroom attendant, they're giving you a fresh warm towel to wipe your hands with, they're giving you gum, they're giving you whatever you need in the bathroom. Like those are the types of like bathroom attendants you tip. There's no one there, and the people that were there in the facility vicinity weren't helpful. So are we going to tip them for being rude to us? Like there was one nice lady there, and I think she was affiliated with the NASCAR Whalen series at the Pit Pass booth. And that was like honestly the one exception.
Yeah, no, she was very sweet. But I've never seen a sign like that in the bathroom. I've never been to that steakhouse, so I wouldn't know, but
We'll have
I
to go.
mean,
Cause that is a freaking bathroom. Those are bathroom. They don't have one attendant. They have attendants. Okay.
okay.
There's
I'm just
multiple.
telling you, I don't believe a racetrack would ever employ a bathroom attendant. But yeah,
It's
it
just not a
just
reasonable thing to say. It's not very
no,
unreasonable.
no. But overall, we did watch some practice at New Smyrna for the World Series, and then just inevitably decided to go watch the Super Bowl because we're dirt track people, and it was a little difficult to be as invested in the short track late model scene as we had been in the sprint car dirt track scene. So after, 4 days on the road together, we just decided to go watch the Super Bowl, which ended up being pretty exciting. So, I mean, I thought it worked out okay.
No. It honestly it all works. Everything happens for a reason. It worked out.
Yeah,
We sat in the car for about an hour debating on what we were gonna do.
we
Somebody
did.
had bought us raffle tickets and we were
Oh, yeah. Did you ever hear back about that? Did the raffle tickets pan out?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
So, we
Difficult.
don't have a food review for there.
No, we didn't get food. Dang. We should have tried something. Maybe that would have been the shining
Yeah.
memory from New Smyrna.
But anyways, again, not trying to bring down a track.
No. And
Beautiful
I
facility.
mean, if we
Beautiful
would have
facility.
yeah, and if we would have stayed there for the whole night, watched the races, I'm sure we would have walked away and had a slightly better opinion, after actually watching the races and being invested in, what was happening versus just being there for an hour or whatever we were there for. So I'm sure we could have been persuaded one way or the other after actually seeing some racing. However, like I said, I was not upset over our opinion or our decision to go watch the Super Bowl because that ended up being pretty exciting. So, but
Mhm.
New Smyrna, that signaled the end of our time in Daytona Beach. And then the next day, we headed down to Tampa for the high limit racing opener at East Bay Raceway Park, which is closing at the end of the season. So I honestly, the facility wasn't the greatest, but I was so excited in retrospect at the fact that I did get to attend a race there before it closed, because there is something about being able to say that of, oh, I went to a race at East Bay before the landfill swallowed it.
Yeah. Way to put it in those terms, Grace. I mean, it's
There's the for those who have not been or seen a picture, there is the biggest, most giant landfill I've ever seen in my life as the backdrop of the racetrack. Even Anthony Macri was like, the only memory I really have here is like thinking about how big that landfill is. So it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me that, has this opinion.
Yeah, no, it was pretty interesting. And just like all like it's very like industrialized around there, like all the stuff that's like going on.
No,
So
I would agree.
I don't think I had ever been there either. So it was cool to go. And
Yeah, that
I
was the
think
first.
overall, obviously it was a bummer. Monday night got rained out.
Oh yeah.
I actually had a couple notes about that. So obviously though it was a rain out, there was rain in the forecast, but Florida, like you
You
never
never
know.
know.
It comes and goes. But I was so curious, like why was there, and we had talked about this while we were there because it took up so much time. Like the 2 practice sessions.
Oh yeah. I definitely, so as I was kind of digesting it and thinking about what happened at the high limit opener that first night, I was I forgot to take into consideration when I was originally thinking about it, the fact that this was the first race for their new team and
Right.
kind of all the, new people they had in place. So for it to be a little clunky, I think was probably expected. And they absolutely tightened it up by the next night.
Yeah.
Having to run that double header, I felt like everything was pretty efficient on Tuesday
Yeah.
versus Monday.
100%.
I don't know what the cluster in the middle of the racetrack was where, how they said over the loudspeaker, oh, pardon, like we need a couple minutes to sort out whatever's happening in the infield.
Oh, really? That was on Tuesday? I don't even remember
No, that
that.
was on Monday. I'm saying
Oh.
Monday was a little clunky just with random things.
Yeah. Monday, honestly, like, and I thought about this too in reflection. I was like, okay, maybe because it really was like what you said, like high limits first race.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, are they just assuming nobody went to Volusia to race? So they're giving them an extra session. But even then, like the sessions were like, I kid you not, I felt like at least 8 laps a piece. So
It was a lot. Yeah.
if I was practicing, I would have been like, when is this going to be over? Like,
Yeah.
normally you get literally 4 laps or whatever, especially with the wing stuff. Like, it's no mercy. So, and for the field that they had and stuff, I was just kind of like, I mean, they wasted a lot of time. And honestly, they probably could have got more of the show done.
Well, they had 56 cars the first night. So
Yeah,
that's a lot of laps on that racetrack just for for hot laps and qualifying. Like that,
right.
I agree with you that it did take a very long time.
Right.
But
So,
I
yeah.
need you to identify for me your winners and losers of high limit, since we gotta keep up the trend. We gotta do that
Okay.
for all the
Winners and
we didn't have winners and losers for New Smyrna because we didn't watch any
Oh
races.
yeah.
So
No. Okay, so winners and losers. I will say like Justin Peck, I was honestly like so upset for him because he was so fast in the Monday night feature that they ran on Tuesday, so the first feature. And I felt like if anybody was going to challenge Larson, it was going to be him. And just when that happened with, I think it was Wyndham, like being a lapped car, I was just
yeah,
super for him. And then obviously something else happened to him. I think it was in the start of the second feature. And so,
literally lap one. Yeah.
yeah, so I felt bad for him in that regard. I'm trying to think like who else. I mean, and again, like Wyndham honestly just like struggled,
That
honestly.
was yeah, I would
Like,
categorize him as a loser
yeah.
that
So
week.
Yeah, there's two people like off the bat that I can think with. Winners and like people that surprised me really, Cole Macedo, attaboy, and Corey Day. I mean, because you expect Larson to be fast, you expect
Yeah.
Tyler to be fast, you expect Brad. You kind of expect that for those guys. So not to say like not
Not to take anything away from
them.
them, but I know what you're
Yeah,
saying. Yes.
yeah.
No, I
What
agree.
were your two?
Um, I liked your pick of Cole Macedo. I did not realize actually because so in that first feature, I didn't realize he got Tanner Thorson for second and then Tanner Thorson finished third. So when I went and interviewed him, I was talking about because that happened on like the last lap and I
Yeah.
kind of missed it and I was like going to the pits to like go interview people. And so we
Mhm.
were talking and he was like, yeah, and then I finished second. And I was like, oh, I didn't even like I thought you got third. So he definitely that was a bit of a surprise. I thought he did fantastic. Tanner Thorson definitely was a surprise for me. I know he can wheel a midget. He's won the Chili Bowl. He's a great driver
Mhm.
and he has very high expectations for himself. So the fact that when I went and talked to him afterwards, finishing third in the first feature, and then he kind of came from the back and finished 11th in the second feature, which wasn't, it's not great, but it's not that bad. The
Mhm.
fact that he was surprised with how good he did, I was like, okay, like I can be surprised too
Oh
because
yeah, I didn't
he
know he
always
would be
expects
surprised.
so much from himself. And so for him to be like, I kind of wasn't expecting to have the speed that we did right off the bat. I
Yeah.
found that interesting.
Yeah, no, that is interesting.
So actually, that team they basically built that team in about a month and a half. So Tanner was saying, I also wrote a story on him for Speed Sport. Um, he was saying that his plan originally for the season was to run 25 to 30 like sprint car races with Rod Gross Motorsports, which is the team he's driving for, and then do some midget stuff at the same time. And then apparently he handed in his dream schedule to Rod, and a lot of the high limit races were on it. And so the team owner was just like, why don't we just go high limit racing? And so that's kind of why he became a high roller this year. He's parked his midget for the Chili Bowl next year and is just basically full-time winged sprint car racing. And that decision kind of happened at the Chili Bowl this year. So that gave him about a month and a half to get ready to go high limit racing, basically. So that made it even
So
more
wait,
impressive.
he's not racing the Chili Bowl next year?
He is. No, I
Oh,
said
oh,
he's like
he's
parked his
parked the
midget for
midget
the
for the year.
season,
Okay.
gonna do it next year.
Okay.
But
Oh,
that made it impressive
good
to
for
me.
him. Yeah, no, I didn't even know. I wasn't aware about that. So
Yeah. No, I thought that was an interesting
yeah. You
backstory.
got a lot of speed sport articles out of this. My speed sport column, recaps Florida a bit too.
Mm,
But I do think high limit like progressed and they did what they had to do to run like an as efficient program as possible on the second night. But the thing that kind of like was a turnoff for me was the top four lock in from feature one into feature two.
that was a
I
little
think that
odd.
also rubbed some people the wrong way. I also heard that obviously the World of Outlaws had done that in the past, but then they got rid of it. I don't know, not really a fan. I can understand the reasonings and maybe like the excitement behind it, but I also think with like whose series it is, like you already have a conflict of interest, honestly, to begin with. So why make it an even bigger one? Like,
Yeah. So explain what the top four lock-in was for maybe listeners who don't know.
okay, so from my understanding, the top four lock-in was the top four finishers from feature one, which would have been like the Monday feature,
Mhm.
they automatically locked into the feature for night two, right? I'm pretty
They
sure. Or did they get
they
locked
lock in
into
as
that?
the top qualifier, so they all start on the pole of their heat races.
Yes, and then they didn't have to qualify.
And they didn't they
Yeah.
didn't have to
Okay.
qualify. So that was the thing. And Zeb Wise was one of the drivers who had probably one of the bigger opinions on that because he was fastest qualifier, I think, in his group for
Yeah,
Tuesday's feature, went out and I believe won his heat race,
or
and then
second.
was then or yeah, second or something, then wasn't in the dash. And so he was like, I should be in the dash, or I should be in, like one of the first two rows. He started ninth,
Yeah.
I think. So
Yeah. If
it,
you're going to do that, honestly, if you're going to do that, then you need to just tack, assuming those four drivers like weren't already going to be in the dash to begin with, then you just tack them onto the dash and just make it a bigger dash. Like you
yeah,
don't just disregard the people who would have been in it otherwise. Like honestly, to me, I call BS. But new series, give them time to grow. I mean, you would think honestly last year was like a precursor to them building up this year. I give grace to people for a certain give grace to people for a certain extent, but honestly, like you practice like all year last year. So I
yeah.
don't
No,
know. I appreciate what they're like obviously what they're doing for the sport and for sprint car racing and also like upping the pay because really they're kind of forcing a lot of other series hands to also like up their game too. So there's like a lot to be thankful for High Limit too at the
yeah,
same token. So, I mean, it's a new series, so like there's
yeah.
room.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you can explain this to me because you're a driver. Why, as a driver, would you not want to qualify? Like, even if you had the option not to, why would you not go qualify?
I mean, unless they're just like concerned about the wear and tear on the car. I mean,
Yeah,
other than that, like that, I mean, there's always a chance like something could happen, right? So, but I would still think like it's almost like you can feel how the track changes throughout the night, even though like the way the track is in qualifying, it's not going to be the same way for like the heat race or especially the feature because
yeah,
like the track like evolves so much in dirt racing like throughout the night.